In this video, we aim to critically analyse the physical and psychological effects of puberty on adolescents. We also aim to examine the possible ways to support adolescents during puberty. So what is puberty? Puberty is the time in which a child's sexual and physical characteristics mature. But what does this mean? Puberty begins with an increase in hormone production which leads to neurobiological changes. This means that during puberty, a child's body will grow very rapidly. Changes are constantly happening which are both physical and psychological. During puberty, adolescents may struggle with unexplained mood swings, low self-esteem, aggression, and even depression or anxiety.
What changes during puberty? During puberty, adolescents experience a number of physical changes as their bodies mature and become capable of sexual reproduction. They will experience changes in their height, weight, and muscle mass. They will also develop secondary sex characteristics such as the deepening of the voice in males and the widening of the hips in females. Puberty is a period of several years in which rapid physical growth occurs. Growth spurts during puberty result from the release of hormones. Girls begin their growth spurts on average 2 years before boys, but boys tend to grow taller and over a longer period of time. As a result, preteen girls are usually taller than their male classmates, who eventually catch up to and grow taller than these girls as they experience their own growth spurts. Girls tend to grow fastest between the ages of 12 and 13, and growth slows down by the age of 14. The average boy will continue to grow rapidly until the age of 16, when growth begins to slow. Their muscles will also continue to develop after this.
As well as experiencing all these physical changes, teenagers' brains are still reaching maturity. This changing balance can help to explain the way in which adolescents think and act in many different ways during puberty. Allopregnanolone, or THP, is a natural steroid that normally helps to soothe the activity of brain cells in children and adults. However, the hormone has the opposite effect in puberty, which in turn increases anxiety. On top of this, teens are less sensitive to dopamine during this time, a neurotransmitter that helps control the brain's reward and emotional responses. Teens need much greater rewards to activate the dopamine pathway and crave a higher dose of risk to feel the same amount of rush that adults experience. This helps to explain the jump in mortality rates during adolescence.
For many adolescents, a big part of puberty is coming to the realization that they are entering adulthood. It is a time in which they shape their own identity and may become distant, or possibly rebel by experimenting with unhealthy or dangerous activity. Different maturing rates can have psychological effects on adolescents. While boys who mature early tend to be more popular with their peers, they often show more symptoms of depression and delinquent behaviour, and are at greater risk of substance abuse. On the other hand, while later maturing boys may be more creative, tolerant and perceptive, they tend to have lower self-esteem. As with boys, later maturing girls also face fewer problems. In contrast, girls who mature earlier have fewer advantages and are more likely to face depression, anxiety, eating disorders, unplanned pregnancy, suicide, and a greater risk of breast cancer later in life.
Part of parents' commitment to their children and adolescents is to be a source of support and someone that can be relied on until young people become self-sufficient. Parents can do this by setting limits, showing respect, communicating, and giving advice. Schools play a major part in the psychosocial, intellectual, and vocational development of young people. Schools should provide a caring school environment, recognise the vulnerability of adolescents, give personal support, communicate with parents, and provide educational programs to help adolescents understand puberty. There are times during puberty when a young person may need external help and support outside of school and home. External help should be sought after if a young person displays a change in behaviour or emotional state, is at risk of harming themselves, loses interest in schoolwork, shows evidence of an eating disorder, or refuses to go to school. To conclude, during puberty, adolescents experience psychological changes and physical changes. Numerous supports are available, such as parental, school, and external, to help teenagers cope with these changes and other changes that occur during puberty.
Created using Powtoon.